Welcome to the Boxing Source Midweek Report, where we tackle the latest topics in the sport of boxing here up to this point every single Wednesday. Time to start the show. What's up? What's up? What's going on? What's good, everybody? That's right. We are here for the Boxing Source Midweek Report for July 23rd, 2025. We got a few things here that we're going to be talking about. There's going to be a busy weekend of boxing. Busy weekend of boxing. Okay. We got fights on Friday, fights on Saturday, and you know what? I even checked the box rec. There's going to be fights on Thursday too, right? But we're going to be focusing on a few things here. That's on Friday and Saturday. You see, like the whole thing with the banner, the background, and everything like that. We got these three major topics that we're going to tackle here on this particular midweek report. We're gonna try to preview all of this stuff here, as I do for entertainment purposes only. I'll check the betting lines and everything like that, the money lines, and who's favored and what the result is and that type of stuff here. So we're going to be looking at that with a number of the key fights here coming up this weekend, right? And also, I'm going to see here if I could try to get this thing loaded up. But for those that haven't necessarily got to the boxingsource.net, what I'll be able to do here is I will be able to share the updated Boxing Source pound for pound top 16. That's right, the Boxing Source pound for pound top 16. Shout out to everyone that's tuning in live here, whether it's on YouTube or on Rumble. That's right, we are on Rumble here with this on the Boxing Source Midweek Report. So we have that. Shout out to Secret Dan Smooth here in the building, and he already shared his thoughts in reference to Bruce Carrington. All right, but I'm going to talk about that here in a moment, okay? Because it's it kind of like stems from a story here that I had from some time back. You know what I mean? So hopefully I'll be able to share that as well. But with what we have here in store, because big weekend. We got fights, as I was mentioning, in previous shows. You got fights on OTX, right? You got fights, of course, with Top Rank having their fight card on ESPN. You got Salida Promotions over in Detroit that's supposed to be on the zone, right? So you got Claressa Shields there in that particular fight card. He's going to be headlining that fight card. So we're going to be talking about that here on this particular instance. So what I want to do here is I want to start things off. Got things to kind of like go through the rundown here for this particular midweek report. First up, as I said, you got Xander Zayas for this Jorge Garcia Perez for the WBO 154-pound title. Who wins? You're going to have Xander Zayas in there as the top-ranked contender of sorts for this WBO Super Welterweight title. Of course, the backstory is he was named as a mandatory challenger for the WBO title when Sebastian Fundora held it. But as you see, Sebastian Fundora went ahead, had the rematch with Tim Tszyu. That fight happened last Saturday. You see what went on. You see what went down. He got the stoppage victory. So he is still, the WBC Super Welterweight champion. But now Xander Zayas undefeated at 21-0. Here has his opportunity to fight for and win the world title. That is 21-0 with 13 wins by way of knockout, going up against Jorge Garcia Perez there with a record of 33-4, with 26 of those wins by way of knockout. Now, of course, we know there with Jorge Garcia Perez, he was able to get this opportunity with the win over Charles Conwell in April of this year. Now, you have Xander Zayas, of course, that was coming up the ranks there within 154 pounds. Had a win over former world champion there, Patrick Teixeira, who I think was a former WBO Super Welterweight title before he lost the belt there. And then after that, you had Xander Zayas with a win over Damian Sosa and Slava Spomer at the theater at Madison Square Garden. So actually, this is going to be his fourth consecutive fight at the theater at Madison Square Garden. I was there for the past two. the Damian Sosa and the Slava Spomer fight. Now you got his fight here against Jorge Garcia Perez, and this is going to be a real good test here for Xander Zayas. All right, he's at 22 years old with a reach of 74 at a height of 5'10". Okay, you got Jorge Garcia Perez there at 6 feet at 28 years old. There, they don't necessarily have it listed as far as like his reach there on the box rec, but you know that having a fight against a taller fighter, Xander Zayas, this is going to be a really interesting bout. Like I said, with Perez having 26 of his 33 wins by way of knockout. There, of course, an orthodox Mexican fighter. It's going to make for a good little scrap. You know what I'm saying? It's going to make for a good scrap. So I'm seeing here if Zayas is going to be able to properly like weather the storm here because, for the past few fights, just being real with you, the past few fights, whether he's had like shutout wins or, wins where he's like won round after round after round, I'm trying to see if he could, have something to separate himself from like other fighters that are competing there in the super welterweight division. What do I mean by that? Like, I mean, of course, you had the former undisputed champion there, Jermell Charlo. You see what Jermell Charlo did with Brian Carlos Castaño in the rematch. He finished the job. He stopped him to become the undisputed champion at that time. You know what I mean? So he's out there. He'll go into work and he'll try to take, his opponent out of the. You know what I mean? With Xander Zayas, it's more about is he able to, really step on the gas, step on another gear, and end up stopping his opponent? Now, Secret Dance Food says that he's not convinced by Zayas yet. And that was the thing, man. I mean, I kind of talked about it with his last fight. When he fought Slava Spomer, February of this year, right? Going into that fight, you had two undefeated fighters. They were both at 20-0 at the time, right? And given that I was at Zayas' last bout, and he had a decision win before that against Patrick Teixeira, I was like, you know what? With this fight going on and going down, man, I'm expecting this to go to full 10 rounds and everything like that, and that he's going to get a decision victory. He ended up getting a stoppage. It was more so that Spomer really didn't do much against Xander Zayas over the course of those like 9 or so rounds. But when Xander Zayas got the stoppage, it was like, oh snap, okay, you got the stoppage. It is what it is. You know what I mean? But looking at this particular bout here with Jorge Garcia Perez, right? Perez had like a great second half of the fight against Charles Conwell. Now, some may say that Charles Conwell may have kind of like, gave that fight away or something like that. But here, I just feel like it was more about the effort there for Jorge Garcia Perez that had him get the two scorecards that he needed in order to get the win there on that front. So that catapulted him right to the top, well, pretty much around the top of those rankings, right below Xander Zayas. And now he has this opportunity to fight for and win the WBO super welterweight title. Now, you see me, how I usually do things on the Midweek Report. I usually pull up the whole thing with the odds on these fights that are coming up. All right. So, my thing is that for this one, I probably see that Xander Zayas is going to be the favorite. Usually go to the DraftKings, man. It's like, cheap plug for DraftKings, whatever it is, right? Now, they have currently Xander Zayas at minus 450 as a favorite, so about 4.5 to 1 favorite. And they got Jorge Garcia, as they say Jorge Garcia, but I say the whole name, of course, at plus 320. So pretty much more than a 3-1 underdog there, and almost like a lot, almost 100% of people on the money line, at least right now, got their money on Xander Zayas, right? And they got the over-under at 10.5 rounds, and for over 10.5, of course, they got it for that minus 300, and for under 10.5 is plus 210. So you probably you would get positive money for Zayas by knockout, or Jorge Garcia by knockout, or Jorge Garcia by decision. You know what I mean? So they're definitely leaning towards Xander Zayas by decision here in this particular matchup. Now, it's more about the fights that he's had that I kind of mentioned before, okay, and that particular experience has built him up to this particular point to where he can, fight a guy like Jorge Garcia and be able to make the proper adjustments if he needs to, in order to get the majority of the rounds here in this particular bout. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm looking at here. I got Xander Zayas with the win. Okay, for him to become the WBO super welterweight champion. Right now, with that being said, what would that mean for the super welterweight division? I'm not sure yet, particularly with Xander Zayas being on the top rank, and you have the whole situation with top rank, which I'll talk about here a little bit later on down the line. You know what I mean? So what we got here for Xander Zayas, if he ends up getting a WBO title, that maybe they might build him up to have him have a couple of fights. Now you still have, Sebastian Fundora. Like I said, it was more about him getting more money, having a rematch with Tim Tszyu, than fighting Xander Zayas. And hey, he said, look, if I get this win with Tim Tszyu, yeah, I can still have that Xander Zayas fight later on down the line, right? So, hey, I had to do what I had to do. You feel me? And so now it's more about what Xander Zayas has to do here on this particular instance to see if he is going to get this win over Jorge Garcia for that WBO super welterweight title. So, that's what I had there on that particular instance. Not sure, who y'all pick. Y'all probably lean towards Xander Zayas in this one. And that, he could get the win and probably put himself around that top five or so there in the 154-pound division. There's like a lot of action that's going on at 154. The WBO had recently released their rankings for this for this month, you know, um, and it had a couple of new entries there at 154 pounds, including the former unified welterweight champion there. So you do have that on slate. Seeing here if one guest is able to join in here. Hopefully they could get through because this is kind of like a new, apparatus to join in. I haven't used it in a while, so hopefully I'm able to get my guy Matt from Brunch Boxer to join in here. What's up, Matt?
Yeah, can you hear me?
You're
Oh, perfect, perfect, perfect. I had to go download the Rumble app to get on here, so
mm,
you hear me.
word, man. I mean, hey, now I'm talking about the action is supposed to be in New York, man. I'm hoping to get out there for Saturday. Like I said, last ESPN telecast for Top Rank, man, and I mean they got a few fights out there, but
Yeah, but Jalalov not on there no more, so
yeah. Yeah, they just took that off the card today.
that was the reason I was going to see heavyweight action, but apparently that's not going to happen now.
Yeah, it's all about the heavyweights when it comes to Matt. So so since that's off the card, man, it's like, oh man, do I really wanna go, man?
Now let me ask you a question.
Mhm.
So Xander Zayas versus Jorge Garcia. Um, am I the only one that thinks that Xander Zayas should be like a huge favorite? Because I don't think Garcia has anything for him.
Well, as I mentioned before you joined on, they got Zayas at about 4.5 to 1,
Okay.
and they got Jorge Garcia at probably about like a little bit over 3 to 1 underdog.
It's not bad. I might have to look at the odds for that, man. I'm thinking Zayas is going to get him by decision. Because to me, his footwork is too immaculate for Jorge Garcia. I don't see Jorge Garcia's feet being able to keep up with him. So
Hmm.
we'll see. But it's a good card. I'm looking forward to seeing Shushu get that interim belt if he could be successful. They have, some good fighters on there. Emiliano Vargas, Rohan Polanco. Like, a lot of it's almost like the last day of school where you dump everything and they just dumped everybody on the card and
Yeah,
just to get them out because they don't know when they're gonna be back.
yeah. It's kind of like how they're doing it because what they initially have about, let's see. probably about like eight or so fights. Right, they
Yeah,
had about like 9 or 10 total, but with the the heavyweights just being removed from the card,
yeah.
then
It's like the last day of the NBA season when they just
yeah,
empty out the whole bench.
yeah, empty out the bench, or the NBA season, or maybe the last week of the NFL. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? We'll have the starters for like one quarter. You know what I mean? And then the rest of the folks are able to get in. You feel me? So yeah, that's what it's looking like here with this card, man. As I said here with the Xander Zayas and Jorge Garcia Perez, man, you got the other the co-feature bout that's on there with Bruce Carrington going up against, as they say, Mateus Heita, right? And this is going to be for that WBC interim featherweight title, right? And the question that's being raised here, at least in this particular instance, is that is Bruce Carrington being avoided at 126 pounds? And
No.
the reason why I put this up, right, and this kind of like was on the live chat here earlier, was that it said, hey, Bruce Carrington really ain't fought nobody. There he's there at 28 years old or whatever it is, or something like that. But you had to talk with the matchmaker, or one of the matchmakers of Top Rank there, and Brad Goodman, and he said something in reference to all of that. So my thing was is like, okay, if you have um like him going on, right? And he basically said like there, let me see if I could like scroll down to the bottom part of it, because it says, the thing about Xander Zayas and him having that fight with Perez, but also said like, anything planned for Bruce Carrington. And he said like he were trying to get Carrington an interim title because none of the champs or even the top contenders want anything to do with them. So, according to Brad Goodman, they were trying to match him up against, maybe the WBO champion or somebody that was highly ranked in the featherweight division, but they couldn't, make the fight happen. So that's how he ended up getting a position to fight for the interim WBC featherweight
Well,
title.
I just want to point out that Top Rank controls two of those belts, so there's really no excuse if they couldn't make the fight happen.
Well, like I said, hopefully I'm able to make it out there so I could talk with Brad Goodman again, because I ain't well, I mean, I could probably send him a text or whatever it is, but I mean, but still though, you know what I mean? I don't see how they couldn't make that fight with Carrington and the WBO champion, at least, after, the WBO champ had his fight, so I have to see first what happens here with Bruce Carrington, if he's able to get this WBC interim title, and then what that could lead to here later on down the line. You know what I mean? So that's the thing about that. Just real quick reminder there. Of course, hit the like button if you enjoy the content here, whether it's on YouTube or Rumble, and if you want to contribute to the boxing source, you see what's going down there, the Cash App or whatever it is, or hit the super chats. You know how it goes on that front, man. It's a Secret Dance who says, has Top Rank not found a new network? Well, some people are saying like they trying to go towards the zone, but yeah, I don't know about all that. I don't know. You know what I mean? So we have to see what they're gonna do, because I mean, some may have thought that maybe they could work something out with like a Probox TV or something, but even with that, they don't even look all too hot. You know what I mean? So we seen from that. All right. He says nothing I've seen from Shushu makes me think he's a special fighter, especially as he's already 28 years old. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, they're at 28. It's 28, and this is going to be his 16th professional fight. That's just being honest with you. That's wild. You know what I mean? That's wild, man. You haven't had that many fights there. You already like 28 years old. You feel me? It says like, hey, he thinks the zone is already full when it comes to the dates. Yeah, man. I mean, we already know about some things going down, but in November, a couple of things, September, October, maybe. So I don't know. Any word from the curb here from Matt, or for in reference to all that?
No, we'll see. I
Yeah.
mean, he'll get his chance. We're not sure if Fulton's going to go back down to 126.
Mm,
So we'll probably end up with, I would say, about between Shushu and Ray Vargas, because Ray Vargas is supposed to come back soon also. So we'll see. I think he could be a champion. I don't see why not. It's not. Listen, 126 ain't full of killers. Let's
right,
calm down.
right. Yep. So I mean, yeah, he definitely could have that opportunity to get himself in the picture to be a full fledged world champion. Not just being an interim champion, which he'll have that opportunity to be here on Saturday night. So he's able to get up in those rankings, get that position, and then just be able to fight. Yeah, if Ray Vargas has something scheduled pretty soon, then yeah, why not? You know what I mean? So you do have that on the horizon there on that front. All right. So with that being said, man, we all know about the whole schedule there with Top Rank and what's going down with that. Now, of course, you got something going down on Friday, right? With OTX 15, that's going to be in Atlanta. Of course, you got like Elijah Pierce is going to be headlining the bout there against Michael Das Marinas. You could still catch the interview there with Elijah Pierce that's on YouTube, and I'll see about uploading this thing here on Rumble as well. So y'all be able to check that out before that fight takes place on Friday night. You're going to also have O'Shea Jones going up against Elia Carranza for the IBF and IBO Super Welterweight title. Haven Brady Jr. against Michael Harris. Maximus Garland against Morgan Griggy, which is like what do they call it, like a pink slip or something like that, a pink slip match. So the winner is able to like be back on like OTX later on down the line, and the loser, I mean, they'll have to find something. And you'll have a few other fights on there, like Nathan and Elijah Lugo. Those brothers will be fighting on that card as well. So that's something to look out for the zone. All right. So next up on the docket, Claressa Shields calling out Laila Ali. Why? Um, yeah, we had the whole thing in reference to both of them been going back and forth. They've been going back and forth off and on for about right what, a year and a half, 2 years or so. But recently, Claressa Shields, went public and said that, okay, you had this little video saying that you wouldn't come out of retirement unless you had like $15 or $20 million. Well, she says, well, here you go. We got 15 million. What's up? Uh, first off, Matt, what did you think about that video and anything if you think that it makes it any closer for that fight to take place?
I'm gonna keep it a beam with you. I did post the video. I ain't watched that shit. Come on, man. Nobody got time for that shit. Listen, she ain't fighting her.
Oh man,
She
oh
not, man. She not fighting her. Come on, man.
man. But the thing is though, like today, it was today, right? That they had the press conference for Claressa Shields versus Lani Daniels, which is taking place on Saturday at what, the Little Caesars Arena in Detroit.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so you're gonna have that particular event happening, and Claressa is, kind of like concerned about a fighter that's been out the game for what, 15, 20 years? Like, and yeah, man, I don't see no point in it. I don't understand it.
And
15
I'll tell you one thing though. She better worry about her fight, for she don't make it to that fight.
Oh man, like Lani Daniels. I mean, I don't know, man. She like 37 years old, man, and she done had like a winning streak or whatnot. 11-2, 11-2-2. One win by way of knockout. You know what I'm saying? So hey, I guess I guess Claressa Shields like sleepwalking through this, particular fight week or something. You know
I
what I
hope
mean?
not. I hope not. Listen, I understand Claressa Shields is supremely talented, But this is boxing. You cannot underestimate anyone in boxing because shit happens.
Mm, yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, hey, look at what we saw there with Caleb Plant. You know,
Uh huh.
a
Uh
couple
huh.
weeks, a couple months ago. I mean, a lot of people felt like that was going to be, smooth sailing for Caleb Plant. It ended up not being that way. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's something we got to check out, man. So you had that on there. You got what Tony Harrison back in there, man. You had to talk with Tony Harrison. You got a number of fighters, of course. They're under Salida Promotions. That's going to be part of that card. So um, I'm looking forward to seeing what's up with Tony Harrison. Him getting back, he's going to be back there in the middleweight division. Maybe he'll get in the mix as far as like the middleweight rankings there once again. I don't know. Remember, like there was some time where he could have potentially fought Danny Garcia at 154 pounds a couple of years ago, but of course, that all fell through. So now it's like after Tony Harrison had his bout with Tim Tszyu, now he's getting back in the mix and then seeing what's going to be going down at least here in the middleweight division, and maybe he'll say that he's going to continue his career there at middleweight or something like that.
Yep. Yep.
you know so that's mostly what's going down at least for this weekend here so far, right? All right, bet. So pretty much like covered everything there just really quick, for this fight week. You know what I mean? So for me, I'm hoping that I could pretty much pull this off. All right, so I was able to do this after last weekend, as we had a lot of action last weekend. Of course, you had the undisputed heavyweight title fight on the line. You had, unified super flyweight title there with Ben Rodriguez against Fumulele Cafu. You had the whole thing going down with the action in Las Vegas, headlined by Manny Pacquiao versus Mario Barrios. And so, with a number of those fights going on and happening, and you had the results on there. I finally, after about over a month, was able to update the Boxing Source pound for pound list. Okay, now the last time I had 12 fighters on the pound for pound list. This time around, I got 16. That's right, 16 fighters on the Boxing Source pound for pound list. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and I see if I can share that top 16 here. All right, so here we go. Here it is, man. You got at number 16, Emmanuel Navarrete. All right, 15, Teofimo Lopez. Number 14, Devin Miles Haney. 13, Kenshiro Taraji. 12, Jerome Boots Ennis. Number 11, Junto Nakatani. 10, Artur Beterbiev. Number 9, David Benavidez. And number 8, Shakur Stevenson. Number 7, Canelo Alvarez. Number 6, Avante Tank Davis. Number 5, Jesse Bam Rodriguez. And number 4, Dimitri Bivol. Number 3, Terrence Crawford. Number 2, Naoya Inoue. And that number 1, the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, Alexander Usyk. Now, wasn't really much of a change there in the top three. The Within the 4 through 6, I switched 4 and 6. Okay, and the rest, Canelo's there still at 7. Shakur moved up to number 8, and then you had David Benavidez, Beterbiev, and Nagatani and Jerome Businis pretty much stayed the same. And then I added the last 4 on there with Kenshiro Taraji, Devin Haney, Teofimo Lopez, and Emmanuel Navarrete. Now, hey, a lot of these folks, they'll have 10 in their pound for pound, right? Me, I take it a couple steps further and I have 16. You know what I mean? Shout out to G Funky Boxing in the building there. He says, smash the like button right there. Yeah, smash the like button. You feel me? All right. So yeah, so that's what I got for the top 16. All right. Now we got Matt of brunch boxing, and brunch boxing has a pound for pound top 10. All right. Now, Matt, what is some of the main differences from what you have as a top 10 to what I have for my top 10 there in the 16?
Well, the top three is the same. Um, I would say you got Bam Rodriguez too high, David Benavidez too low.
Mm, mm. So, for those who don't know, sorry, hold up. I think you got, what is it? Inoue at number one, Usyk at number two, and you have Tank Davis at number three.
Oh no, I don't.
Mm,
No,
wait a
you're
minute.
looking at an old, very old list. No, no,
Yeah,
no,
I'm about
no.
to say.
Let me give you my pound for pound before you have these people
Yeah.
out here thinking that I don't know shit about boxing. All right, let me give you my own pound for pound. All right, so the brunch boxing pound for pound at number 10. Hold on. Because you know what? I didn't even post it yet.
Mm.
Let me go here. Carry the 4. All right. All right.
Add the one. You know what I'm saying?
All right. So we got Junto Nakatani at number 10.
Okay.
Okay. We got Shakur Stevenson at number 9. No, actually, no. Sorry. I'm looking at the wrong list. We got Jerome Boots Edison number 10, Shakur Stevenson at number 9, Junto Nakatani at number 8, Bam Rodriguez at number 7.
Mm-hmm.
Then we got, is this right? Oh, then we got Javante Davis at number 6. We got David Benavidez at number 5,
Ooh.
Dimitri Bivol at number 4, Terrence Crawford at number 3, Inoue at number 2, Usyk at number 1.
All right. So we got the same four, but you have what? Benavidez at number five.
Yes.
Okay. So you have Benavidez at number five for his, what is it? Um, like him going up from fighting what is it? Gvozdik and his win over David Morrell.
So think about this. Think about what Benavidez has done in recent times. Andrade, Plant, Vosdick, Morrell.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty fucking strong in my estimation.
Okay. So he got those. He has those four wins there, right? Okay.
Consecutively.
Yeah, consecutively. All
Think
right.
about this consecutive. So
Mm-hmm.
he's putting in work.
Putting in work. Okay. So that you could probably constitute that as like one of the stronger resumes, for the past couple of years or so. Because
Yeah,
the
yeah. And
fight
so
that he
for
had
my pound
against
for pound,
Caleb Plant was March of 2023, right?
yeah.
So
So for my pound for pound, I go 3 years back. That's it.
okay. So like anything before, like 2023 or something from 2022, you don't like necessarily put that,
No,
in,
anything before 2022.
okay, gotcha.
Because to me, that's not pound for pound. That's a Hall of Fame resume. That's
Mm,
different. Hall of
mm.
Fame is different from pound for pound. Pound for pound is Janet Jackson. What have you done for me lately? Hall of Fame is the entirety of your career.
Word, word, word. Otherwise, you would probably put someone like a Canelo Alvarez, and he'd probably stay in the
Yeah,
top five or something. You know
yeah.
what
Canelo can't sniff my pound for pound.
I mean? Not with William School on on the resume.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man. So So you got that. Well, you had Tank at number 4, right?
No, no, I got Tank at number 6.
Number 6. Okay, number 6. Yeah. So that's pretty much what I have there. Like Tank at number 6 as well. Um, I had Canelo there at 7. Shakur Stevenson was what at 10?
Yeah, so you don't have Boots in your pound for pound.
Not in the top 10.
Okay, okay,
He's at number 12.
okay, okay.
Like I said, I mean, that's what happens when you're able to have 16. You don't necessarily have to have, someone that just missed the list. Nope. I'm going to say, hey, you know what? Let's just add them in. You know what I mean? Top 16. Feel me? So, so that's what I had there on the list. I don't know. I'm not sure. If the next list will come out probably in a month from now. Because if you really think about it, a majority of these fighters that are on the list won't have a fight until what? Maybe what? September
Yeah,
at the very least. So it might not be much movement there unless maybe I could find something. Hold on a second. Maybe um nah, yeah. A lot of these fighters won't have something here, anytime soon. I mean, we got to wait till September or October or November for a number of these fighters to, actually have something here later on down the line. So, and with it being at 16, you pretty much like reach the limit. Like after 16 fighters, you can't really find someone that kind of like would have a good enough resume recently to make it valid of sorts or whatever. So that's why I got it at 16 at this point. Um, what else could be on the docket? Because with it, having a couple of fights here and there, I would say like just keep tabs on the schedule. We got a few other fights that are coming up now. The thing about it is with the whole thing about um what could have happened on August 16th, kind of like makes the schedule be a little bit, you know, what I would say, watered down a little bit. Actually, you know what though? You have something with one of these top fighters in the pound for pound list. Actually, Kenshiro Taraji is scheduled to face Ricardo Sandoval on July 30th. So at least we have that, but we still will have to wait until September 13th before we have a real shakeup in the pound for pound rankings there. So yeah, going on to that whole thing with the August joint, right? Um, you know, Lamont Rose Jr. had made a comment in reference to what could potentially go on or go down. Matt has talked about it, in previous brunch boxing episodes that are Saturdays, Saturday mornings, and that we got something. We got to wait to see what's going on with Tank Davis. Apparently, they have a court date scheduled for him for later this month, if I'm not mistaken. So we got to see what happens with all of that.
good luck.
Oh man, I don't know, man. Maybe it could be almost a situation like Floyd Mayweather, but I don't know because this is Gervonta Davis that had what a whole thing with probation. You know what I mean? So when you have the probation on your record and then you still had this happen, they ain't gonna be that lenient. They ain't gonna be that lenient on you, or they usually ain't that lenient for.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, in all honesty, we don't know what happened in the situation, but it doesn't look good.
Yeah,
But we'll see. Ultimately, we will see. And I'm pretty sure once a resolution happens, then we will get some announcements.
yeah, yeah. And also you had like reported that there could be something in the works for a date for Amazon Video or Amazon Prime Video that they could have an event in September. But we have to see if we get anything closer to that here within the coming weeks, because with a lot of speculation that a fight card would have happened on August 16th, there was like a number of fights that were in discussions to take place on that date. Now, with that being pretty much removed from the table, what happens to those fights? And if they're still, they're in the works, or if they're going to actually happen. According to some folks that, may be involved with it, they still say that, the fights would still be on regardless of what happens with the main event. So, maybe they'll just fit a number of those fights on another card later this year. So hopefully we do have that, because it's one thing to have a fight date like removed here from the schedule, but to like actually have a full fight card removed and a whole bunch of fights removed, then that's completely different, because that's missed opportunities for a number of these fighters to
Yeah,
get there in the ring.
and that's why Tank needs to do better. Heavy is the head that wears the crown, Jr.
Well,
If you're gonna be the man, you're gonna be the big star. You got to understand that people are relying on you. It's not just about you anymore when you're the big star.
yeah, yeah, but it's also another thing when you have, some issues and you can't necessarily shake those issues away and just completely wipe the slate clean and turn the page or close the book. And it seems like he, may have some issues closing the book. So hopefully, he could get that situated. You feel me? So there you go. There you have it, man. So that's the quick midweek report. Just quick analysis of what's going on, what's going down. Of course, we have the action that's coming up. Actually, we got fights this tomorrow, Friday, and Saturday for fight fans to go ahead and check out. It ain't necessarily all about the big events. Sometimes you got to see who is going to be the next one up. You know what I mean? So that's why we have these fight cards that happen, in between these big events, these pay-per-views or whatever it is. So y'all be able to check them out and stuff like that. But with that being said, that's it for me for the Boxing Source Midweek Report. Big ups to Matt from Brunch Boxing to join in here. Be sure to check out Brunch Boxing. Of course, they did a great job for the Fight Week 4 Manny Pacquiao versus Mario Barrios. There had a number of interviews there for y'all to check out, and we'll get right back at it here with the Boxing Source podcast scheduled for Sunday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. So y'all be sure to check that out. Be sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Share the stream. We appreciate the support. Y'all see what to do as far as like contributing towards the Boxing Source. And with that being said, folks, I am out. Peace, y'all.